Maintenant, on peut ouvrir les portes. Yes, we can open the door. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, statements by members. The Honourable Member for Saint-Léonard, Saint-Michel.
Mr. Speaker, as chair of the Canadian section of Parliamericas, I was proud to welcome last week here in Ottawa more than 80 parliamentarians from 25 countries from across Latin America and the Caribbean, alongside Indigenous leaders and youth for the 10th gathering of the Open Parliament Network. Parliamericas has become the leading interparliamentary organization of the Western Hemisphere, connecting and engaging national legislatures to strengthen democracy, cooperation, and collective action on trade, innovation, security, and sustainability. Through Canada's leadership on AI, security, climate action, food security, and democratic governance, Canada is helping set the frameworks others will follow. We also witnessed the signing of an MOU between the United Nations Declaration Program and Parliamericas, reaffirming the commitment to collaborative legislative action and strengthening cooperation throughout the Americas and the Caribbean. Muchas gracias to the participating parliamentarians who made the gathering possible, memorable, and successful. Thank you.
Wonderful.
The Honourable Member for Niagara West.
As a member of Parliament, I attend some fantastic events with some of the most amazing people in the world. Shine On was one such event held on a beautiful Niagara evening. It was hosted by John Howard of Megalomaniac Winery, and you could feel right away that it was something special. It really spoke to the kind of community that we have, and I'm so proud to represent. What stood out most to me at the event was the leadership from Kevin and Linda Lu Chu Wen and their daughter Caitlin. Kevin and Linda are proud owners of Harmony Jewelers. They've raised over $1 million for the West Lincoln Memorial Hospital Foundation and McNally House, two of the most important organizations in our community. What an incredible contribution by this family. This year also marks the 50th anniversary of Harmony Jewelers. After 5 decades of support from the community, they're making sure they return that support in a meaningful way. Given the challenges that Harmony Jewelers and their staff have faced over the past year, seeing that kind of generosity and resilience on display was remarkable. It was one of those nights that reminds you of what our community is really all about.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Member for Moncton Dieppe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, with the death of Robert K. Irving earlier this month, New Brunswick has lost one of its greatest business and community leaders. Mr. Irving and his brother Jim were co-chief executive officers of J.D. Irving Limited, which employs more than 20,000 New Brunswickers and drives economic activity that employs thousands more. At the time of his death, Robert Irving had been the face of JDI's operation in the Greater Moncton area for nearly 50 years. He was often the face of philanthropy in our community as well, publicly and privately contributing to more good causes, large and small, than anyone could count. Mr. Irving will also be remembered for his founding and ownership of the Moncton Wildcats, the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League team that delighted and inspired hockey fans from around New Brunswick and also across Canada. On behalf of the people of Moncton Dieppe and the entire community, I want to offer my sincere condolences to his wife Jill, to his 4 children, and to his entire family. May he rest in peace.
The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize one of Oshawa's most cherished annual traditions, Fiesta Week. For 52 years, Fiesta Week has brought our community together through cultural performances, traditional foods, costumes, and displays from around the world. This year, residents and visitors will once again experience long-standing Greek, Caribbean, French, Canadian, Polish, German, Ukrainian, Portuguese, Italian, and Romanian pavilions. We are also proud to welcome the new Indian pavilion and welcome back the Hungarian pavilion. Volunteers work all year long preparing for this 1-week-long celebration. I encourage everyone to join us in Oshawa from June 21st to the 27th to experience 14 incredible cultural pavilions in our city. The doors are open and you don't want to miss it. Follow along with Oshawa Fiesta Week on Facebook, and happy Fiesta Week, Oshawa.
The Honourable Member for Vaudreuil. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to mark the 40th anniversary of Développement Vaudreuil-Soulanges, a pillar of economic development in our region. For 4 decades now, DEV has supported entrepreneurs, municipalities, and organizations with passion and determination, helping to make Vaudreuil-Soulanges a dynamic, innovative, and prosperous region. Thanks to their leadership, hundreds of projects have been launched, businesses have grown, and our community has been able to develop while preserving its human touch and its exceptional quality of life. I'd like to commend the remarkable work of the entire Développement Vaudreuil-Soulanges team, their partners, and all those who, over the last 40 years, have contributed to this collective success. On behalf of the people of Vaudreuil, I thank DEV for its commitment and wish them many more years of success. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
I rise today to remember the remarkable life of the iconic Albertan Don Seaman. His influence in Alberta and all of Canada will be felt for generations, especially by his friends and family and the business leaders he mentored. A visionary pioneer of Alberta's energy sector, Don helped build Canada's economy, but his impact will reach far beyond business. In the true spirit of build it and they will come, Don helped build a field of dreams in Okotoks, where Seaman Stadium is the crown jewel of Canadian baseball. He literally placed the building blocks not only of a stadium, but for the renowned Dogs baseball program, which stands as a proud symbol of his commitment to youth, sport, and country. Through the Don and Eleanor Seaman Foundation, he supported education, healthcare, community development, and improved countless lives. Now, as we celebrate his beloved Dogs' 20th baseball season in Okotoks, I will remember him sitting in the warm summer sun, watching baseball, savoring a life well lived with thousands of friends in what we now call our Field of Dreams.
The Honourable Member for Orleans. Mr. Speaker.
To the 23rd, we mark Paramedic Services Week, a time to honour the dedicated professional who responds with compassion during Canadians' most difficult moments. In Orleans and across Ottawa, paramedics serves our community every day with courage, professionalism, and care. To all those who answer the call, thank you. Merci.
It's very important for me to recognize their work and to fully support the project to build the National Paramedic Memorial in Ottawa. This memorial will serve as a lasting symbol of our gratitude and will honor their dedication and sacrifices. I would also like to acknowledge the leadership of Norm Robillard, a retired paramedic from Ottawa, as well as the vital work of the Paramedic Memorial Foundation of Canada.
Paramedics deserve recognition equal to their dedication. Their services inspires unity and gratitude in communities across Canada. Merci.
The Honourable Member for Barrie South Innisfil.
Mr. Speaker, this evening I will have the honour of co-hosting the annual Terry Fox Humanitarian Awards, where 15 exceptional young Canadians will be recognized for receiving one of our country's most prestigious scholarships. From Surrey, BC to St. John's, Newfoundland, the 2026 cohort represents communities across our country united by a shared commitment to service, compassion, and leadership. These students carry Terry Fox's spirit forward through leadership in community service, academics, athletics, and humanitarianism while supporting them through their undergraduate studies so that they can continue making a difference in their communities and abroad. To the 2026 cohort and graduating recipients, Parliament recognizes and commends your remarkable leadership and dedication to serving others. You reflect the very best of Canada and serve as an inspiration to Canadians across the country. And I'd also like to recognize award recipient Panya Gagnon and award graduate Caleb Small from my riding of Barrie South Innisfil. On behalf of the community, we're incredibly proud of all you've already accomplished and excited to see all that you will continue to achieve in the years ahead.
The Honourable Member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Mr. Speaker, in the Utah way, there are a lot of Ottawa Senators fans, and we salute them. But, you know, there's also a lot of fans of really good hockey, and those people want to see the Canadians play in the playoffs at the Slush Puppy Centre. Except that the NHL and the Senators are standing in their way, and they're invoking territorial rights to prevent the Habs games from being broadcast in an arena. If the Senators want their games to be shown, well, all they have to do is not get eliminated after just 4 games. Because of this, the people of Gatineau are missing out on a great event, and worse still, a local mental health organization is missing out on tens of thousands of dollars because they would have received the proceeds of the ticket sales. Yesterday, the National Assembly of Quebec unanimously joined the City of Gatineau and around 7,700 petition signatories asking the League and the Senators to back down. In Quebec, it's the Habs, even in the Flowers heartland. So let's allow fans to gather to support the Canadians all the way to the Cup, because in Gatineau, it's Go Habs Go!
The honourable member for Sault Ste. Marie Algoma.
Mr. Speaker, I've got some great news for this House. On Friday, the Minister of Industry joined me at Tenaris Tubes. And you know what? We announced over $70 million in funding towards a project that, it's going to maintain 811 jobs. But it's also going to create 200 new jobs. Mr. Speaker, as you know, I was elected in 2015. And when I was elected, Tenaris Tubes only had 25 people working there. And they laid the blame squarely on the previous government for lack of inaction on supporting steel. But today, we are celebrating 1,111 workers that are working to support Canada to become the energy superpower that the Prime Minister has said, and the Tenaris workers are going to make that vision become a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, let's celebrate the success in front of this tariff, unjust, unreasonable situation. Congratulations, Tenaris Tubes.
The honourable member for Kitchener South Hespeler.
Mr. Speaker, it's a great pleasure today to welcome 58 students and staff from Jacob Hespeler Secondary School in my hometown of Hespeler, who are visiting Parliament Hill today to observe our democracy in action. These students are taking part in an important learning experience, gaining first-hand insight into Canada's parliamentary system, civic engagement, and public service. I would like to recognize the dedication of the teachers and chaperones Dave Lambert, Ashley Peterson, Michelle Bird, and Cole Boland for helping guide and inspire the next generation. To all 58 members of the Jacob Hespeler Secondary School group visiting today, welcome to Ottawa. I hope your visit encourages you to stay engaged and involved in shaping the future of our communities and our country. To the Liberal members across the aisle, Conservatives will be asking hard questions today that pertain to the real-life future prospects of these young people. I beg you to try actually answering them today to put on a proper show.
The honourable member for Guelph.
Mr. Speaker, May is Sexual Assault Prevention Month in Ontario. Every day, news stories show how widespread and devastating intimate partner and sexual violence are across Canada. These are not isolated incidents. They're not private matters. They are a systemic crisis with real human and social costs. In Canada, a recent report shows that sexual violence costs nearly $15 billion every year in lost wages, counselling, investigation, courts, and more. And about 1 in 3 police-reported violent incidents involves IPV, and we know this is the tip of the iceberg. Bill C-16 expands protections, increases access, and helps address systemic vulnerability. But cops, courts, and counselling are all after the fact. Prevention must be the goal, through education, early intervention, and addressing root causes, including gender inequality, racism, and discrimination. Thank you to Guelph Wellington Women in Crisis, support teams at the University of Guelph and Guelph General Hospital, Victim Services, Guelph Police, and groups like them across Canada. Ending sexual violence is not just their work. It must be all of ours, and it must be every day.
The honourable member for Hamilton East Stony Creek.
Just the other day while I was filling up gas in Stony Creek, a member of my community commented on how ridiculous these gas prices are, and I couldn't agree more. Gas prices are 10% higher in Canada than the United States, costing Canadians an average of 16 cents more per litre. Canadians want relief. The Liberal Finance Minister says they've already acted, but they've only acted on 1/3 of the taxes for 1/3 of the year. Our Conservative plan to remove all Liberal taxes on gas and diesel will save a family of 4 in Hamilton $1,200 per year. Mr. Speaker, if the Liberals support our Conservative motion today, we could bring real relief at the pumps. It's what Canadians want, but more importantly, it's what Canadians deserve. Canadians have been getting squeezed for way too long, and this is a great opportunity to put money back in their pockets. Let's do the right thing today. Vote yes for our Conservative motion, and let's give Canadians the win they deserve.
The Honourable Member for Thérèse de Blainville. Mr. Speaker, as we saw at the 2026 Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games in Milan Cortina, Canadian athletes show us what's possible when talent, hard work, and opportunity all come together. Today, we have the privilege of recognizing and thanking these extraordinary athletes here in person in Ottawa. Last winter, Team Canada won 21 medals, finishing 8th in the overall standings. At the Winter Paralympic Games, Canadian athletes proudly added 15 medals. Every athlete competed with heart, perseverance, and excellence. Podium finishes and personal bests demonstrated the talent, character, and determination that define Canadian sport. To all of our athletes, we're proud to have seen you wear the maple leaf and represent Canada on the world stage. Thank you also to the coaches, the families, the support staff, the officials, and the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic Committee for their dedication to our athletes. On behalf of all Canadians, thank you for representing our country and inspiring the next generation of Canadian sports heroes.
The Honourable Member for Newcastle-Gwillimbury.
Canadians are finding themselves on the outside looking in. This Liberal government is wasting insane amounts of money and driving up inflation while our citizens can't afford to eat or house themselves. It's enough to blow the hat right off your head, Mr. Speaker. $300 million on prescribed IT scandal, $800 million on their gun buyback program, $12 billion on foreign aid, $19 billion on government insiders, $1 billion on health care for fake refugees, $200 million on a concrete launch pad. It's like something right out of Spaceballs, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are right to be angry. They're being forced into food banks, living on the streets, and waiting years for basic medical procedures while the Liberals keep on wasting taxpayer dollars. Why is it our people are always at the back of the line in their own country? And when will this Prime Minister start putting Canadians first?
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg. I would just caution members about the noise level. The Honourable Member for Winnipeg South Centre.
Mr. Speaker, in life, if we're lucky, our paths will cross with some truly extraordinary people. My dear friend Jeff Kovalik-Kloof was one of them. On May 12th, we lost this incredibly kind, generous, and loyal man at only the age of 43. He gave back to the community and served proudly as a key member of the University of Winnipeg-Westman basketball team. He served admirably in senior roles supporting federal ministers here in Ottawa, one of whom was my late father, Jim Carr. Jeff was well known to many who sit in this chamber for his incredible spirit. He managed my father's campaigns as well as mine in 2023. When my dad was diagnosed in the hospital with cancer, Jeff was there. As my dad neared his final breath, Jeff was there. Whenever I needed him, Jeff was there, notwithstanding everything that was going on in his life. Jeff faced more health challenges than anybody should ever have to endure, but he met every one of them with strength, courage, and grace. He never complained. He just kept going. Mr. Speaker, we will miss him dearly, and we are very grateful for the contributions that he and his family have made to this country. May his memory be a blessing. Thank you.
Oral questions, questions orales, l'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic, l'érable Lotbinière. While families struggle to pay groceries every month, this Liberal Prime Minister continues to max out the national credit card to fund one scandal after another. $300 million wasted on prescribed IT, $200 million for launch pad on lands that cost leased for practically nothing, $742 million to take firearms away from law-abiding hunters. The result? Higher costs, higher taxes, more debt, more inflation. Gas prices have jumped 28.6%. Grocery costs continue to squeeze families. When will this Liberal Prime Minister stop his credit card-fueled budgets? The Honourable Government House Leader, Mr. Speaker, early this morning, before this member or others even rose, that Canada announced that we are back in the business of making military jets. We have announced we're going to be making exports in LNG towards Europe. These are incredible partnerships with Europe. These are incredible partnerships that will create jobs here in Canada and opportunities. And that is how we will build this country. The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, like all the other announcements from the Liberals, Canadians will soon be realizing it's all smoke and mirrors. Every time they make an announcement, Mr. Speaker, it just doesn't come true. But Canadian families, they are working harder than ever. But why are they getting poorer just the same? Why? Because this Liberal government is spending taxpayers' money as if there were no limit on the credit card, billions on failed programs. Families are spending incredible amounts just to feed and house themselves. Will he stop spending on his cronies and stop taking care of the real people? The Honourable Industry Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, my colleague just referred to good news. Good news here for more than 3,000 people who will be getting jobs thanks to this new partnership between Saab and Bombardier. We will finally have a surveillance aircraft not only for Canada and for the CAF, but also for the entire world. The United Arab Emirates, France, several other countries throughout NATO are interested in buying that aircraft that will finally be built in Canada by Canadians.
Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, costly Liberal policies drive inflation up, forcing Canadians to pay more for gas, food, and rent. Don't take my word for it. April stats prove it. Inflation, gas prices, and food prices are all up, yet the Liberal Prime Minister keeps spending $290 million for the failed prescribed IT scandal, $200 million for a gravel space pad in the Liberal riding, $742 million for a failed gun grab. More costs, more taxes, more debt, more on the national credit card. This Prime Minister is just another costly Liberal with nothing to show for his waste. When will he stop?
Hear, hear. Honourable Government House Leader.
You know what Canadians are not talking about? Whatever is written by the Leader of the Opposition for that member. You know what they are talking about? The first ever long-term contract for liquid natural gas off our west coast, a partnership with Indigenous peoples, a partnership that lasts, a partnership with our allies, and all before noon, Mr. Speaker, the first ever deal with Sweden to manufacture military aircraft here in Canada. 3,000 jobs. That's just before noon. We're just getting going.
The honourable member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians don't want empty promises and empty announcements. He can deflect, but the reality is rent has skyrocketed after years of costly Liberal housing failures. Energy prices rise because this Liberal government's identity is punishing Canadian energy and targeting regular families. Right. With this Liberal Prime Minister, it's more cost, more inflation, and more of the same. He's just another Liberal. Will he finally admit his tax and spend agenda has failed, stop using the credit card, and support the Conservative plan to make Canada affordable again?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
I have good news for that member. Almost $1 billion for small craft harbor. The member may not speak to her constituents. They speak to me. They are excited. They see this as an opportunity, and I invite the minister to speak to her constituents, or the member to speak to her constituents.
The Honourable Member for York Durham.
To describe a gullible listener, we used to say, I've got some swampland in Florida for you. But thanks to the Minister of Defense, now we can say a Canadian version. I've got a gravel pit in Nova Scotia for you. At a low cost of just $200 million, the Liberals are trying to build a spaceport. The problem is the company that's leasing it is paying just $13,000, and construction will only cost $70 million. So if the construction is $70 million and the lease is only $13,000, why are Canadians forking out $200 million?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, really good news. Today we announce our commitment to procure the Global Eye SAB's Airborne Early Warning Control aircraft platform. This investment will open new opportunities for Canadian workers, and it's projected to create 3,000 jobs in the Canadian aerospace and defence sector, Mr. Speaker. This is going to be a key resource for the Canadian Armed Forces to enhance our North American security by detecting and deterring threats across the Arctic and beyond. Mr. Speaker, we're just getting started.
The Honourable Member for York. The Honourable Member for York. Wait. I can't hear the Honourable Member. The Honourable Member for York-Durham.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague begged the Liberals to try and have some respect for this place and answer the questions. But that's the essence of the scam. It's just illusions. The Liberals have figured out how to turn a gravel pit into a money pit. It's more costs, more debt, all on the national credit card. If everything is above board, everything is hunky-dory, as the minister claims, why not table in the House the lease agreement? Give us the details. And while he's at it, maybe he could explain why it's Liberal insiders who lobbied for it, Liberal insiders who will benefit from it. So will the minister come clean today and give us a copy of the agreement?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, here's some facts. They don't want to hear them, but here are the facts. Enhanced recruitment up 61%, highest in 30 years. Biggest pay raises in a generation. Major infrastructure renewal on 33 bases. New rifles, new kit, new uniforms for women, 7,500 new housing units, 800 of which are under construction. Serious investments in Arctic offshore patrol ships, P-8 maritime patrol aircrafts, 11 new Sky Guardian drones, space-based polar communications, Arctic over-the-horizon radar. Mr. Speaker, we're just getting started.
Yeah.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, never would I have thought I would say these words, but when you have an environmental conscience, you kind of miss Justin Trudeau. And perhaps for other reasons, the Leader of the Opposition feels the same way. I would imagine the member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie feels some nostalgia. This is real backtracking. They have shown the door to a highly credible spokesperson in the area of the environment. Does the government actually understand that when it comes to climate betrayal, this is going far too far? The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure him that when you look at this side of the House, we have so many members here who are prepared and fighting for against climate change and for the environment. And when you look at the situation globally, we are world leaders. Just look at our nature strategy. We are world leaders when it comes to our methane regulations. Global leaders with our international financing for climate, and we continue to do this work as a team. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, there is such a thing as climate change. You can fight against the effects of climate change, but not by abandoning the carbon tax, not by financing new oil pipelines, not by scrapping the protection of biodiversity and other measures, not by doing away with the caps. Will the government at some point start listening and correct its actual massive climate betrayal? Mr. Speaker, the Bloc Québécois leader really has no reason to lecture us given what he did in the Anticosti Islands. If he wants to talk about what we've done, we are leaders in protecting nature. We were in BC where we protected an area that is larger than PEI. We are continuing to do the work with our nature strategy. We have one of the cleanest electric grids in the world. We were going to double it with our electricity strategy. We'll do it with Hydro-Quebec and our partners. We're continuing to do the work. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. I will remind this leader that there was no drilling on Anticosti Island, period. Now, the member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie attempted to change the government and Canada from the inside. He failed. Even though I commend him for his courage in these areas, he had little or no impact under the Carney government. Whereas the Environment Caucus and the Liberal side, the member knows we cannot name members in the House.
Ministre.
Apologies. The Prime Minister. The Environment Caucus in the Liberal Party says our job is not to talk about the environment or to protect it, but rather to support the Prime Minister. Whereas the member for Laurier-Sainte-Marie has left. Is there still an environmental conscience alive in the Liberal Party? The Honourable Minister. Again, Mr. Speaker, we have a team here. On this side, we are united to build Canada, build it well, to protect the environment, and to fight climate change. And what we're seeing is with the electricity strategy that we have one of the cleanest electricity grids in the world. I was discussing the matter with Hydro-Quebec, and they asked us how we could help. I asked how we could help them build a better electric grid in the province, and that's what we're going to be doing with the investment tax credits. That's precisely what they need so that they can be sure that we will continue to fight climate change.
Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians were promised that life would become more affordable if they trusted this Liberal government. Instead, families are falling further behind as the cost of everything keeps rising. After years of reckless spending, inflation, debt, and more taxes, this Liberal Prime Minister is proving more costly than Justin Trudeau. So how does the Liberal government justify spending $90 billion, which is more than their entire deficit, on the Alto Rail boondoggle in a transportation corridor that is already the most heavily serviced in Canada?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are tired of the podcasts, bizarre workout videos, and empty parking lot press conferences. They're tired of it. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we're going to build the strongest economy in the G7. Abroad, we're signing trade deals that bring billions of dollars to our country. At home, we're cutting taxes. Time for them to put down the kettle bills, help us build Canada strong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I would ask members to try and refrain from provocation. The Honourable Member for Haldimand Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, I'm hearing from desperate Canadians who are frustrated that this Liberal government prioritizes wasteful projects over the needs of families. In Haldimand Norfolk, people are crushed by the cost of gas, basic necessities, and the price of groceries. And they're choosing to pay their bills rather than putting food on the table. Now the government wants to spend $90 billion on a rail line that most people will never, ever use, while Canadians are lining up at food banks just to survive. So tell me, which Liberal insider stands to profit from this tax?
I can't answer that, but the Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families, I'm sure, will answer.
About the constituents I'm meeting in my riding who are talking about the changes in their life through the Canada Dental Care Plan. People who have never been able to get dental care, who have not been covered by plans for the first time in their lives being able to see the dentist. People with young children who have not been able to bring their children for dental care, now having coverage. And Mr. Speaker, let's talk about child care for a minute. Over 900,000 children benefiting from child care, and families in Ontario, that member's province, who are now seeing a savings of average $13,000 per child. These are all things they vote against, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Canadians were billed $195,000 for in-flight catering by the Prime Minister for 3 trips. Scottish salmon fillet, sautéed beef with world-famous creamy sauce, and for dessert, luxury Normandy buttercups. Every dollar this Prime Minister spent on his elite palate was first taken from a hard-working Canadian. This Prime Minister means more costs, more taxes, more debt, and more on the national credit card. Will he cut out his fine dining and rein in his inflationary spending so Canadians can afford to eat?
There you go. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister travels, you know what happens? He brings back jobs, he brings back investment, he brings back opportunity for Indigenous people to participate with equity in projects, he brings back technology, he brings back expertise, he brings back military and industrial benefits to Canada. The Prime Minister travels, oh yes he does, and you know what he does? He brings back jobs and investment and energy to Canada.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
So the member saying that $195,000 for steak and fine wine is necessary for the Prime Minister to do his job? Shameful. In April alone, Canadians saw gas rise 28%, food rise 3%, hydro rise 20%. At a time like this, Canadians expect fiscal restraint because for them, food and shelter is more than 125% of their income. So if the Prime Minister really wants luxury Normandy buttercups, can he just put it on his own credit card instead of the backs of Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
And be proud of having a Prime Minister not only that is travelling across the world to bring back investment and jobs, but also that he's working in a very difficult environment across the world as the international rules order is shifting. That is what Canadians expect, that we are able to create jobs across this country. We've been able to create more than 70,000 jobs since the last fall, and we'll continue to do so.
The Honourable Member for Brandon Souris.
Another month gone and another disastrous report card on Liberal affordability measures, Mr. Speaker. Food inflation is up, yet nobody on the Liberal benches can tell me their plan to increase food production. Rent is up despite a fourth housing bureaucracy presented as a silver bullet. And now gas prices have surged 28% in April, the largest monthly increase ever recorded. Liberals promised relief, but instead food, rent and fuel is further out of reach. Today they have an opportunity to bring down food and fuel prices by taking all the tax off all the fuel for the rest of the year. Will this costly Liberal Prime Minister and his get-along gang vote in favour today?
The Honourable Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians voted in this new government to get results, and that's what we're doing. The member opposite has voted against every measure that we're taking to support Manitobans. We're investing in housing, infrastructure, aerospace. In fact, I just met with students from the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union 256, and they're so excited about our Red Seal program and working hard to get that $5,000 bonus. So I don't understand why the member opposite keeps voting against these measures.
The Honourable Member for Brandon Souris.
In typical Liberal fashion, nothing about the fuel tax. Mr. Speaker, their half measure on fuel tax is just 3 months away from expiring. Do you know any Canadians who felt real relief? I sure don't. In fact, the only people I see waving the mission accomplished flag are people like that minister who are Liberals. Everyone knows that it'll take years to truly solve the Liberal inflation crisis, but the least these tired costed Liberals could do is give Canadians a real break on all their fuel taxes. Is the Liberal plan really to tell Canadians that their affordability crisis will be solved by the end of summer? Seriously? Why not take all the tax off all the fuel for the rest of the year and give Canadians some real relief today?
The Honourable Secretary of State, the Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, this side of the House, we focus on affordability. They're focused on bluster. We just paused the consumer excise tax on gas. That's 10 cents a litre. Combine that with the cut.
Okay, we need to lower the decibels. We need to lower the decibels. I think it's better now, so the Honourable Secretary of State may continue.
Mr. Speaker, we cut the excise tax on gas. That was 10 cents a litre. We cut the consumer carbon tax. That was 18 cents a litre. That is 28 cents a litre for Canadians when they fill up at the pump. This side continues to vote against every affordability measure we have ever put forward. They do not have Canadians' interest at heart. We're going to focus on delivering affordability for Canadians on this side of the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, Windsor families are tired of being failed by this Liberal government. They're paying about 30 cents more per litre of gasoline than people across the river in Detroit. This Liberal Prime Minister is the same as the previous one. He's very expensive and has nothing to show for his spending. All we get from him is more costs, more taxes, more debt, and more on the national credit card. We Conservatives have a real plan. Canadian families are looking for relief. Let's provide them by removing all federal gas taxes for 1 year. No more half measures, Mr. Speaker. When will this government, Liberal government, get it done?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Mr. Speaker, that member knows very well that we've taken a number of initiatives that have helped Windsor families, Mr. Speaker, and people in Windsor know that that member has voted against every one of those members, Mr. Speaker. But what we know is that it is time to invest and build, Mr. Speaker. Canada is building again. Today, we announced Canada's first European LNG agreement that will attract more than $30 billion in investment. We are building new nuclear, Mr. Speaker, in Ontario. Critical mineral projects in Quebec, like the Nouveau Mine project, and in the prairies, major infrastructure across the country, Mr. Speaker, from Newfoundland to Labrador.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. With this vast understanding of Quebec, after having seen the Battle of the Plains of Abraham was we don't know what, the Prime Minister said clearly that the majority with respect to sovereignty, the 50% plus one, is unclear. So I guess we should start by cancelling the 1995 referendum and starting all over. This time around, clearly, he should have just minded his own business, and the National Assembly of Quebec reminded him of that with a unanimous motion. There are about 170 members of the Liberal Party here and about 40 or so from Quebec.
The Honourable
Minister, Mr. Speaker, I can perhaps assist the Bloc Québécois member. I think the answer will be the same as earlier this week. I understand that the Bloc members are experts at dividing people, controversies that don't exist. We are squarely focused, as my colleagues have said, on issues that matter to Quebecers and Canadians. We seek to work with the government of Quebec, with businesses, with workers in Quebec and throughout the entire country. That remains our priority. And Mr. Speaker, things are going well. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Unanimously, the National Assembly doesn't seem to think that same thing. Some people may be for sovereignty. Some say maybe later. Some say no. But all Quebecers are convinced that they have the right to make their own decisions. 30 years after the shenanigans with the first referendum, is the Prime Minister saying that they should not count, that they could only... Can he not tell Quebecers that they really need to focus on their own will as Quebecers? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, once again, we understand that the Bloc Québécois is seeking controversy where there is none and more division. The Bloc leader knows full well, because we work with our colleagues from the Bloc and all parliamentarians to find solutions, such as against the tariff threat from the United States, to support businesses and workers throughout the country that are facing tariff threats that are absolutely unjustified. We will continue, Mr. Speaker, to do this work, and I certainly hope the Bloc Québécois will get on board on these important matters for Quebec. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse, Les Etchemins, Lévis. Mr. Speaker, this distress that's experienced is for real. The number of people seeking food assistance in my riding has jumped by 66% in just 3 years. The situation is so critical at these food banks that some organizations are warning they'll soon have to tighten their eligibility criteria and turn away hungry families. These increases are caused by this government's costly policies. When will this Prime Minister finally allow Canadians to pay their bills and feed their families? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Identity and Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a great deal of respect for my colleague. We sit on the same committee and we have extraordinary exchanges. But what I am a bit confused about in this chamber when she speaks is that there seems to be a bit of a disconnect between what she defends in committee and what she's asking for in this chamber. This person is always supporting community organizations, women, and that's just not what I'm hearing here in this space. Sorry, I did not use the right title for the parliamentary secretary. My apologies. The honourable member for Bellechasse is Chemin-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, this government's housing and inflation crisis is tearing families apart. Rents have jumped 3.6% in 1 year, marking a dramatic cumulative increase of 30.8% since 2021. Today, food insecurity is so severe that some Canadians must spend 120% of their income just to feed themselves and pay for housing. When will this Prime Minister put an end to his costly, out-of-control budgets and finally take the cost of living crisis seriously now? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Women and Gender Equality. Mr. Speaker, we take the housing crisis very, very seriously. We have a federal agency that's been established, Build Canada Homes. Under this agency, housing, affordable housing, is the government's priority. We understand a large percentage of revenues is focused on housing. In my riding, certainly that is the priority for the government. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Mr. Speaker, I have met with many residents of Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier in recent weeks, and the situation is glaringly obvious. The cost of living has become unaffordable. Our seniors and our youth are paying a heavy price for the impacts of this Liberal government. For the past 10 years, the Liberals have tried different programs, but they aren't working. When you have to dip into your savings just to eat, that's alarming. When is this Liberal Prime Minister going to stop recklessly spending on Canadians' credit cards to make life more affordable for everyone? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, my colleague for Hochelaga just asked a very relevant question. What is an inflationary expense? The Conservatives say that if you spend, you worsen things for Canadians. But actually, people depend on dental care. They actually depend on the child care benefit. They depend on the GST rebate for groceries and essentials. And yet, these members seem to stand against these measures. We don't understand. Do they have a plan to help people? Or is this just smoke and mirrors from the opposition?
The honourable member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Well, what's really unfortunate here is that the Liberals are completely disconnected from reality. The member across the way should have listened to my question. In 2014, there was a world energy crisis. The cost of oil was $100 a barrel, but fuel only cost $1.38. That was under the Harper government. Today, oil is at the same price per barrel, but gas costs 40 cents more per liter. That's because of Liberal policies. Can this Prime Minister take the bull by the horns and create measures to help Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, we're not going to take advice from these Conservatives because they keep standing up and asking the same old question. I respect my colleague, but he should stand up to vote for C30, legislation that will put more money in the pockets of 12 million Canadians. Plenty of people in his riding will be happy to get that money. Is he going to help people in his riding? They are watching today, and they are waiting for their MP to stand up for them. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals use any old statistic to try to pull the wool over our eyes and make us think that things are going well, but actually there's more taxes, more spending, more problems. When I go to my riding, I'm constantly hearing that people are having to make difficult choices on how to put food on the table or about where to live. They never had to make these kinds of choices before. When will this government finally stop making Canadian families pay the bill for this government's costly mismanagement? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, my colleague already explained that Housing Canada, Build Canada Homes is there for affordable housing. We're making sports affordable to make sports accessible for people. We are creating new programs for our society to cut taxes, to help people. On this side of the House, we are taking strong action to help people in our ridings. In my riding, Thérèse de Blainville, I can say that organizations in my riding are appreciative of our programs.
Member for Mississauga East Cooksville.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians watched with pride as over 250 Canadian athletes competed this year in the Milano Cortina Olympic and Paralympic Games. And nothing, Mr. Speaker, makes us prouder than cheering on Team Canada. So can the Secretary of Sport tell us how the Government of Canada is supporting these incredible athletes?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Speaker, I'd like to thank my friend and colleague from Mississauga East Cooksville because he knows what it takes to be an Olympic medalist and an Olympian. He has raced the marathon at the Olympic Games for Team Canada. So thank you very much for him. Today we welcome the 2026 Team Canada Olympic and Paralympic athletes to Parliament Hill, Mr. Speaker. Every time Team Canada competes, they represent our country and wear the maple leaf. It makes us proud. Our world-class teams and athletes deserve a world-class sports system, and that's why we're building Canada strong from playground to podium by investing over $755 million into the Canadian sports system over the next 5 years to improve access to higher sport participation, host more international sporting events, and support our incredible national team athletes.
The Honourable Member for Red Deer.
Mr. Speaker, 74,000, 3/4 the size of Red Deer. That's the number of rejected refugees still in Canada getting luxury, taxpayer-funded health care that Canadians can only dream of. They're supposed to be deported, not given better care than those paying for it. Worse, this Liberal government has lost track of 28,000 of these fraudsters. They vanished into our communities and still billing Canadians. Where are these 28,000 fraudsters? And when will this Liberal government deport them?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I have said yesterday, this is a temporary program for health coverage. It covers essential services. The cost is tied to volumes, and the good news is that they don't want to hear is that we brought the volumes down by 59%. Because of a Liberal budget, because of a Liberal bill, and as the PBO had said this week, we will save taxpayers over $400 million annually.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Liberal House Leader defended luxury health benefits for asylum claimants that his own government rejected, stating they are, quote, the most vulnerable people on earth. Really? Well, how about William Amona Russell, the rejected asylum claimant who raped 2 women and murdered a 20-year-old girl while still in Canada? Yet under the Liberals, criminals like him remain eligible for luxury health benefits like physiotherapy and home care. Shame. Do the Liberals still believe these rejected asylum claimants deserve better health benefits than Canadians?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we believe that criminals should be in jail. We believe that criminals should be prosecuted to the full.
The Honourable Government House Leader from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, we believe that criminals should be prosecuted and jailed to the full extent of the law. We also believe that Canada has an obligation under international treaties to accept vulnerable people from war-torn and ravaged areas around this world, and every single Canadian I know, except perhaps that member, would give care to a vulnerable human being who arrives on Canadian shores and needed our care.
The honourable member for Aurora Oak Ridges,
Speaker,
Richmond
the Liberal
Hill.
asylum system is a dumpster fire. The minister told Canadians they stopped paying for asylum seekers' accommodations, but they are now simply bankrolling municipalities to do it for them. The parliamentary budget officer has found that nearly 74,000 failed asylum claimants are also still receiving luxury health benefits. After a year, this Prime Minister's immigration system looks like the anniversary edition to the last 10. Will the Prime Minister stand up, admit his Justin Trudeau-inspired immigration policies have failed, and finally end the luxury health benefits for failed asylum claimants?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I know that member and I respect him, and I know he knows that I am here to manage migration responsibly, to strengthen our rural communities. That is exactly what we are doing. Our asylum claims are down 59%. The PBO confirmed with us that because of the measures that we have taken by copay, by Bill C-12, we will be reducing $400 million annually those costs. We will continue to protect those that are in need of protection. Thank you.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, a non-citizen on a student visa organized major theft from an Alberta store not once, but 14 times.
Wow.
They were convicted of a major crime under Canada's Criminal Code, which carries a punishment of up to 10 years in prison. They should have been deported, as the law requires, but today we found out that they weren't. The National Post reported that a judge gave them a sweetheart deal, house arrest, so that they could avoid deportation. By voting against our bill to ensure non-citizen criminals don't get sweetheart sentences, the Liberals sent a message that it's okay for non-citizens to commit major crimes. Why?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that member knows that there is nothing in the Immigration Act that allows any judges to discount any sentences. She also knows that Canadian or not, no one can commit a crime on Canadian soil without impunity, including those that are on asylum, including anyone else. We have brought in measures, we have brought in criminal bills. They keep avoiding voting with us, so we expect them to let us, in the next couple of weeks,
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, the minister, she's right. There isn't anything in the criminal code. That's why we put forward a bill to put something in the criminal code to stop this. And yet, when she had an opportunity to sway the Justice Minister to support the bill, the man who created the massive Liberal dumpster fire that she's perpetuating, she said, no, it's fine. Today, the Liberals are defending this abysmal practice. This is divisive post-nationalism that the Liberals have put forward for years. The respect for the rule of law is a minimum requirement for anybody in our country, and when they erode that, they erode our national identity. Every normal Canadian agree with this. Why don't they?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, the issue that the member raises has been an issue in Canada for a number of years. She should know well, as the Supreme Court of Canada in 2013 actually ruled on this specific issue. What's interesting about the timeline, Mr. Speaker, of that decision is that she was sitting in the federal cabinet at the time and chose to do absolutely nothing about it. For our part, Mr. Speaker, we are in the midst of launching the most serious set of criminal law reforms to strengthen the criminal code that this country has seen in generations. Regardless of your immigration status, if you commit a serious crime, you should be met with a serious penalty, and where a court deems appropriate, that can and should include deportation.
Well done, Sean.
The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister called Beijing Canada's greatest security threat.
That was during the election. Despite this, within a year, he signed a memorandum of understanding with Communist China as it relates to security matters. I have been asking for that memorandum of understanding for over 5 months. The minister, the Prime Minister have refused to disclose it. When will they produce the memorandum of understanding that was signed with Communist China?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. Canada has had an MOU with China on combating crime in various forms since 2010. These have never been made public. As with the potential release of any sensitive national security document, we're carefully following the advice of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies. We will continue to work collaboratively with international and law enforcement partners to combat transnational criminal networks to keep Canadians safe. And Canada will always be guided by 3 principles, Mr. Speaker, including the rule of law, protection of Canadians, and the defense of Canada.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson-Nicolau.
Mr. Speaker, if the minister wants to talk about history, let's talk about history. When did the Prime Minister in the past call Beijing Canada's greatest security threat and then just within a year sign a memorandum of understanding? Never before had we heard stories of foreign interference to the same degree. Never before had a Prime Minister said exactly what he said. So why is he unprepared to shine the light, Mr. Speaker? These Liberals don't want to shine the light. They don't want to inform Canadians. Inform Canadians, will they do it today? Yes or no?
Well done.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate that we've had some form of an agreement on safety and security since 2010 with China. They've never been made public, Mr. Speaker, including under the opposition who were in government at that time. We will continue to work in collaboration with law enforcement, with our international partners to ensure the safety and security of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We are a country of the rule of law, and we'll be guided to protect Canadians and to defend Canada's democracy and sovereignty, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, 1 year ago, Canadians didn't feel safe on their own streets. Now, after a year of this same old Liberal government, they're afraid in their own homes. In Cambridge, people are being attacked where they sleep. A 60-year-old senior was assaulted in his own home. A homeowner had his wallet taken while they also tried to steal his car. In the middle of the night, a woman was sexually assaulted by a stranger who broke into her home. This is what happens when repeat offenders are let back out instead of kept behind bars. Canadians are paying the price. How much worse does it have to get before these Liberals stop letting criminals cycle through the system and start keeping Canadians safe in their own homes?
Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we've been working aggressively to put forward many pieces of legislation, a record number, over 8 pieces of legislation in this House that address these issues, that address public safety. More changes to the Criminal Code of Canada than any other government has made. We're strengthening bail laws, and we're making sentences longer, Mr. Speaker. But the provinces also have to do their part. And what we've heard is that many Crown attorneys dismiss charges, and even to the point where we've seen prisoners accidentally released. Mr. Speaker, the provinces too have to resource their courtrooms.
The Honourable Member for Cambridge.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal minister just told Canadians to feel safer because they proposed a Band-Aid for a system they broke. Canadians don't need another paper promise. They need to be safe in their own homes. The Liberal government softened crime laws, let repeat offenders walk free and come right back through Canadians' front doors. Police are forced to arrest the same offenders again and again because this system keeps letting them out. Criminals aren't getting the message and getting bolder because they know they won't face real consequences. A system that won't keep them behind bars isn't protection, it's failure. It's like putting a screen door on a submarine, completely useless. When will they shut down this revolving door and start protecting Canadians?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, we're strengthening penalties, and we're giving law enforcement the tools they need to catch criminals. Mr. Speaker, just last week, Peel Regional Police arrested over 65 individuals connected to organized retail crime. These are criminals who were going out and looting our small businesses, Mr. Speaker, over 65 people. And we are working to make sure that bail laws are strengthened. But you know who's been getting in the way? okay? The Conservatives,
That's right.
Mr. Speaker.
That's right.
Time and time again, police chiefs across this country are telling us that they need the tools in C-22, and the Conservatives...
L'honorable député de Rivière.
The honourable member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians.
On va s'organiser là pour.
Let's just ensure that the member for Rivière-des-Mille-Îles can ask a question. The honourable member, please. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians, watch with pride as over 250 Canadian athletes competed this year at the Milano Cortina Olympic and Paralympic Games. Nothing makes us prouder than cheering on Team Canada. Can the Secretary of State for Sport tell us how the Government of Canada is supporting these incredible athletes? Thank you. The Honourable Secretary of State, Sport. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, we welcome. We're paying tribute to our athletes, please. The Honourable Secretary of State, please. I'll ask him to repeat his response from the beginning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, we are welcoming the Team Canada 2026 Olympic and Paralympic athletes to Parliament Hill. Every time Team Canada competes and wear the maple leaf, we couldn't be prouder. Our world-class teams and athletes deserve a world-class sports system. We are building Canada strong from playground to podium by investing over $750 million to strengthen the Canadian sports system. I'd like to congratulate all of Team Canada. Go Canada, go.
The honourable member for Moose Jaw Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Mr. Speaker, after much hype, the Minister of National Defence paraded the snowbirds in front of the media for all of Canada to see. Then he shamefully announced the snowbird team was grounded after the 2026 season, and the people behind him were losing their jobs. Which Liberal government was wrong? The one that spent $30 million to keep them flying, or the one that is prematurely grounding them? Both L3Harris and Magellan Aerospace, who inspected the jets, say the Tudors are safe to fly until 2030. Mr. Speaker, was the squadron ever asked the question if the team could fly till 2030?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, our government is taking action to ensure that Canadians can continue.
The honourable member for Louvain. The honourable member for Louvain should allow the minister to answer the questions. The minister can begin from the top. You didn't.
Mr. Speaker, our government is taking action to ensure that Canadians can continue to enjoy the iconic 9-plane snowbirds formation for generations to come, and this member knows that. Instead of hyping up things, why doesn't he work with us? We announced a commitment to procure the CT-157, the Pilatus C-21, that will serve both the future Snowbirds team and pilot training. This new capability will be based at 15 Wing Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and is expected to be operational by the latest the early 2030s. We intend to procure these aircraft quickly, and we will do so.
The honourable member for Moose Jaw Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Mr. Speaker, if they're safe to fly now, why aren't they safe to fly next year? The Liberal government took over a decade to sign the F-35 contract, which is now under review and delayed. If the Snowbird replacement follows that timeline, the team won't fly again until the 2040s. For 55 years, the Snowbirds have been a jet team. The replacement the minister has announced is a propeller aircraft. Who made the decision not to pick jets?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, what we won't do on this side of the House is take our lead from social media sites. What we will do is work with the Royal Canadian Air Force. We will listen to the experts there. That's exactly what we've done. And as the Air Force advances its air and space modernization efforts, we remain firmly committed to a future air demonstration capability that continues this proud legacy. Canadians across North America can look forward to the snowbird's distinctive 9-plane formation for generations to come in an outstanding replacement plane.
The honourable member for Swift Current Grasslands.
Mr. Speaker, Day for Rural Development, the only Liberal MP in Saskatchewan, called the grounding of the snowbirds a potential loss.
That wasn't provocative, and it created disorder. So we'll let the member start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, so the Secretary of State for Rural Development, the only Liberal MP in Saskatchewan, called the grounding of the snowbirds. He called the grounding of the snowbirds the potential loss of 80 jobs, I'll quote, a very, very joyous and happy event. But given his track record for 26 years as an MLA, including 8 as a cabinet minister for the NDP, this isn't surprising. He destroyed our province for a generation, and he is living up to that record so far in his first term in Ottawa. The snowbirds are a Canadian icon, so why are the Liberals not keeping their promise and keeping this national symbol?
Hear, hear.
Before we start, the member. Before we start, I would remind the member to go through the chair, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. More Liberals from Saskatchewan are coming, Mr. Speaker, so the cavalry is on its way. We'll take no lessons from the Conservatives, Mr. Speaker, over there. And why? Because they did nothing for 10 long years. But since their absence from Saskatchewan, coming over here to do nothing, what happened back home, Mr. Speaker? Headline, Saskatchewan value-added agricultural revenue reached a record $8.4 billion, which is twice than 10 years ago when you guys left Saskatchewan. So we will not take any lessons from you guys.
Yeah, I didn't live in Saskatchewan. I never left it. Yeah, it is. It's a great province, but I never lived in Saskatchewan and I never left it. Okay, so the honourable member for Cardigan.
Mr. Speaker, that's a hard act to follow. But as we are dealing with climate change and it continues to increase the frequency and severity of emergencies like flooding, wildfires, and storms, it is critical that Indigenous communities are recognized as equal partners in emergency preparedness and response efforts that keep community members safe. Can the Minister of Indigenous Services update this House on the historic agreement signed with Abequit First Nation and the government of PEI, and how our government is advancing Indigenous-led approaches to emergency management and community resilience in PEI and across
the Honourable Minister of Indigenous Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the honourable member for that important question. We have just signed a historic, first of its kind, multilateral emergency management agreement between Abequit First Nation, the government of PEI, and our new government. I want to thank Chief Gould and his council for hosting this important event. This agreement recognizes Abequit First Nation as a full and equal partner in emergency management. It strengthens planning, preparedness, and coordination in regionally specific ways that are culturally appropriate and responsive to community needs. Working in partnerships with Indigenous people is something that I'm proud of.
The honourable member for Terra Nova, the Peninsula.
After the Prime Minister took office, China announced a 25% tariff on Canadian seafood. A few months later, I was sitting right here watching the Liberals brag about how they sold out the automotive industry, allowing thousands of Chinese spy cars on our streets to save the seafood industry. But that deal only covered 2 species. Other seafoods, including sea cucumber, is still at 25% tariffs. Will this Prime Minister go to the wharves, speak with the Canadians whose jobs are at risk, to justify this fishy deal?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Mr. Speaker, I want to reassure this member that I meet regularly with harvesters on the wharf and here in Ottawa and across the country. seafood to enter into markets. I have colleagues who are doing the same thing. I'm going to ask this member if he is going to support small craft farmers. Almost $1 billion in support. That's right. Supports this industry. I will be watching how he votes.
The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Later this afternoon, we will hear the honourable member from Laurier-Sainte-Marie address this place one last time. Je le remercie.
I'd like to thank him. I'd like to congratulate him for his integrity and courage.
Environment, will she find the courage to fight for climate? Will she find the courage to fight for our future?
Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to assure this House and all Canadians that I and this entire team of people in the Liberal benches fight every day against climate change. We fight for good, strong climate policy that is unifying, pragmatic, and it will work. We are taking action. We are protecting nature. We are protecting the environment. We're going to continue to do that work because we know that that is what's best to build a strong Canada.
I wish to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of 3 delegations. Commonwealth parliamentarians hosted by the Canadian branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, and Andrew Parsons, President of the International Paralympic Committee, and the recipients of the 2026 Terry Fox Humanitarian Award. Honourable colleagues, it being 3:17, pursuant to the order made on Thursday, April 30th, 2026, the House will now resolve itself into a committee of the whole to welcome Canada's 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic and Paralympic Games athletes.
Order. Order, please. Order, please. On April 30th, 2026, by unanimous consent, the House adopted the following motion. That, notwithstanding any standing order or habitual practice of the House, at the end of the time provided for oral questions on Wednesday, May 27th, 2026, the House would resolve to Committee of the Whole to welcome the Canadian athletes from the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Milano Cortina 2026. Provided that A, the Speaker welcome the athletes to the House, the names of the athletes present be deemed read and printed in the debates of the House of Commons this day. C, at the end of its deliberations, the Committee of the Whole will rise. And D, only authorized photographers can take pictures during the deliberations of the Committee of the Whole.
That my honourable colleagues are as excited as I am to welcome these extraordinary Canadians. We have many athletes to celebrate, too many to fit all together at once in this chamber, so we will be welcoming them in 2 waves.
This means that we need to be patient and disciplined to ensure that things go smoothly.
Attention of colleagues to the last item of the motion I have just read, and ask members to not take photos during the proceedings. Merci.
Once again, thank you to everyone for not taking pictures during the ceremony to make sure that it goes well.
It is my great privilege and pleasure to welcome onto the floor of the House of Commons Canada's Olympians and Paralympians from the 2026 Milano Cortina Games. Chers athlètes,
Dear athletes, we're not done.
chers athlètes. Non, restez.
Please stay. Dear athletes, you are quite simply extraordinary. You are quite simply extraordinary.
It's the word that describes each one of you. Vous nous inspirez avec votre...
You inspire us through your dedication to excellence, your commitment to finding what is best within yourselves thanks to years of training, sacrifice, and determination required to become the very best.
No one achieves the heights of Olympus without a team. So let us celebrate the coaches, families, administrative and support teams, staff, and the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic committees for their hard work and dedication. Through all your efforts, Team Canada won 21 medals, including 5 gold during the Olympic Games and 15 medals, including 3 gold during the Paralympic Games. On behalf of all parliamentarians, thank you. You made us so very proud. Merci à toutes et à tous.
Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here today. We will now welcome the next group of Olympic and Paralympic athletes.
He can't help it. He can't help it. I know, he's a hugger. He's just a hugger. OK, alors on attend.
All right. Ministers.
Monsieur le ministre.
Gentlemen, Mr. Ministers. What did he say? Minister, we are waiting the second wave.
He's trying to steal their gold medals to pay them.
Non, c'est ça.